one of the things about ATMS being a larger multimodality association is we've got the resources to be able to do these sort of things and not to have to rely on volunteers for everything, which is, often difficult when you're in an industry which is a lot of women who are working part-time and have family and other commitments. They're not always as available to, write a submission or do something that needs doing for the industry.
Hello and welcome. Mentoring with Geraldine is a bite-sized practitioner podcast for naturopaths, nutritionists, herbalists and practitioners. This podcast responds directly to your needs, the needs of the practicing natural therapist. With interviews, herbal discussions, something business and something clinical each week, you'll get the variety you need and enjoy to stay motivated in practice. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mentoring with Geraldine and the Bite Size Podcast. And I've got Christine Pope, the Treasurer of the ATMS, with us today. And Christine is going to talk to us a bit about the ATMS, what it does, why it's here. But first up, Christine, thank you so much for coming to join us. And can you tell us a bit about yourself and your practice before we start talking about the ATMS?
Sure. And thanks for having me on the podcast too, Geraldine. Look, I'm a naturopath, nutritionist and homeopath. I've got a practice at Elemental Health at St Ives. So that's about 20 kilometres north of the CBD in Sydney. I practice there a couple of days a week and I practice with a range of other practitioners. So I actually own the clinic with my business partner and she's an osteopath. So it's great because, I've got massage therapists in there. I've got another naturopath. And if I ever need treatment, I've got someone there like our acupuncturist who can stick some needles in me or I can get a massage or whatever. So it's really nice being supported by that group. But basically, I work in practice 2 days a week. I run the clinic and then I'm also, working on behalf of ATMS as treasurer and as chair of the marketing committee. So I actually chair finance and audit and marketing, and that's my two roles at ATMS.
So in your role as the treasurer, how long have you been doing that? That must be a huge role. Do you have lots of staff at ATMS? How does it all work?
Actually, there were staff at ATMS who were doing this role originally. And when I came in and took over, I wasn't really very happy with how it was running. Mm-hmm. It was very much, I think the finance manager at the time was just filing everything manually. And we now have an outsourced bookkeeper who's fantastic and it's all on Xero and everything's really visible to all the board. Yep. And we've made it a lot more streamlined. So it actually involves a lot less work. It was a lot of work to get it set up, but getting the right people to do that support, it's actually saved us a lot of money. Yeah. And it's given us much better visibility and reporting. So that was one of the big jobs I did in my first year as treasurer. Mainly now it's really just running the finance team. And when I say finance team, it's an outsourced bookkeeping function. Yeah. We do monthly reporting to the board. The board has full access to everything that's going on. And, the day-to-day stuff is all just doing payments and things like that. Right. So, if members could, not pay us twice and then need a refund, that'd cut down a little bit.
You're referring to me because I might actually have done that in the past.
No names. The other big part of it is we do a review of the strategic plan every 3 years. Mm-hmm. So we go through, we do a massive survey, we consult with members about what they want us to be doing. Yep. And that's a huge document. And one of the things we've learned from doing that process is do not leave all the fields as open text because consolidating 4,000 pieces of information turns out to be a lot of work. Yeah. And so then we kind of get our priority. We have 6 priority areas and that's what we focus on and that's what we spend members' money on.
Right. That's amazing. So what areas, what groups, what modalities does ATMS cover?
It represents about 20 modalities.
We don't have to say them all then.
So I sort of consolidate them in. We have 3 groups. This is what we use for Natural Medicine Week. Bodywork. Mm-hmm. So that's, that can be aromatherapy, Bowen therapy, remedial massage, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Ingestive therapy. So basically anything nutrition, naturopathy, herbal medicine, and then Chinese medicine because sticking needles in people, is a specific area and it kind of needs its own.
It does need its own umbrella.
Yeah. So we tend to look at it in those 3 areas. And then when we're thinking about our CPE program, for example, we're making sure that we're running training across all those modalities, all those groups. Yeah. May not necessarily have every modality covered because, you might only have a dozen people in one modality. Yeah. Yeah. And then you've got 2,000 in another one.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to cover all of the bases, don't you? So, and some people, certain things would cover them as well. massage therapists could do a myotherapy thing and all the rest of it to get the points, couldn't they?
Exactly.
So
it's all about what's in the training package. And so the scope of practice might cover things like craniosacral or lymphatic or that sort of thing. So you can upgrade them in that way.
Yeah, 100%. So, it's like as a herbalist and naturopath and as an educator, of course, I get hundreds of hours every year. And I was actually talking to Alexandra Middleton, who works as part of your education department. And she was like, I bet you're like me, where you have hundreds of hours at the end of the year, whereas some modalities don't. And I said, yeah, I had 200.
I know, and it's tricky. And we always have a general business section too, because there will be some areas you can't. And the other thing, we've changed a few of our policies, particularly through COVID, to really help members get their CPE.
Yeah.
So one of the things we've done is all the other associations CPE we accredit automatically, and also because we're very collaborative in that way. And so if someone is, with the Kinesiology Association, they attend their conference, then they've got the CPE points. And all the major, suppliers who are running training, that's all accredited as well. So it's automatic that they get 1 point for 1 hour.
Yeah.
We did have a policy of, if we hadn't reviewed it, it was 2 points for 1 hour. The other way. Half a point for 1 hour. Yeah, sorry. I'm the treasurer, so I should be able to do math like that. Anyway, but we've changed that now so that if they write a learning summary, it'll be 1 point per hour. So that again has made it a bit easier. Yeah. Because, and we're also, this year, we're live streaming our AGM and seminar days so that members can get 6 CPE points, and that cost for members is $75.
Which is great. I mean, the live streaming events are actually very good. I went to the Integria one over the weekend. And of course, I just sat there and watched, and it was great. We had our breaks.
I hope they gave you some breaks, because that's the other thing I've learned from watching doing a lot of Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
You do need to make sure that you don't just have it straight to the hour, because otherwise you never get a cup of tea.
Yeah, you never get a cup of tea. There's got to be space in these things for a cup of tea. I've held several summits, and the first one I made the mistake of not putting breaks in, just assuming that people would be close to wherever they were, or they'd take, because you're on a computer. And so, I actually on the day was suddenly figuring in breaks so that people could go, because someone texted me, when's our first break? And I said, you know what? Oops. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to have a break in 10 minutes. I mean, it was fine because I had actually factored in. Yep. In my head, I'd factored in those extra hours, but I hadn't factored them in on paper. So it was okay because there was that I was able to do it. But you've got to have those breaks when we're online. And as you and I were saying, sometimes you just turn off your screen and you do those stretches in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a really good way of doing it. So with the ATMS, how do you find having so many modalities that you're able to support each modality? Do you have sort of leaders or a team that covers each modality when things are happening? Or how does it
our
work?
CPE team, look, we tend to have 6 operating committees that back up the board.
Right.
So, the thing is, as a board member, you're not there for your modality, which would be hard for me because I've got 3. So my head would be just split. You're there to represent the interests of members. So this year we've done a huge amount of lobbying and advocacy around remedial massage and getting them back to work, because that's been the difficult area with most of the states, because obviously there's a big difference. I mean, ingestives can migrate to telehealth, but a lot harder for body workers to, they need the body in the room with them.
Yeah.
And so, that's been a huge focus for us this year previously. And we've just submitted the tranche 2 of the NTREAP review. Mm-hmm. So one of the sorry?
Tell us about that.
Okay. So it's Natural Therapies Reviews, the expert panel. Mm-hmm. And the good thing is this time we have a review of natural therapies, which involves people from the industry who actually understand our modalities. So that would be a nice change from the previous one.
Yeah.
And so we've put in 2 tranches. The first one went in February, and that was naturopathy, herbal medicine, and a number of other modalities. Mm-hmm. And this one that's just gone in covers things like Bowen therapy, aromatherapy, reflexology. So in a sense, we're working for all the modalities we cover by compiling the research and submitting it. So we put in probably 10 years of evidence, randomized controlled trials and meta-analysis, systematic analysis, whatever we could find that met the criteria for each of the modalities we cover. Yep. So the first one, there was a massive amount on herbal medicine and nutrition that went in under herbal medicine and naturopathy in the first one. And that was a combination of some of our directors doing some of the research, and then we also employed some expert researchers that Sandra Grace helped us source. Mm-hmm. one of our other directors, because frankly, we were limited in our access to research databases. So we needed people who had the appropriate skills. And they actually found a lot more than we would have had access to, which was really good because, what you want them to see is, yes, this is a weighty tome. And as we know, there is a lot of evidence, but we wanted to make sure that they're aware of the volume of evidence that supported our modalities and get it back in natural therapies as soon as possible. And I've had another bit of a win on that too, because in terms of our lobbying and advocacy, we're working with Geraldine, who put questions into Senate estimates about the progress of the review because it had all been delayed by COVID.
Yep.
And he's putting some pressure on now because what I was concerned about was that we're being told that the review will be completed by December next year. It's like, well, it was supposed to be completed this year.
Yeah.
But also the timing, the reports will be submitted August this year. But if it's not finalised by then, the private health insurance will do their submissions in November. So we want to get it
ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to get it in ahead of them. Definitely.
Yeah. So we don't want it delayed for a further period. Anyway, look, I think the important thing is we've got those relationships we tend to have relationships with government across the spectrum because we're not party specific, we're policy specific.
Yes, which is great, which is really great.
Because you don't want to be aligned with one party and then suddenly they're out of power.
No, you certainly don't want to have the American system happening. Oh, God, Lord.
No.
No.
I was going to say, I have been uncharitable towards some of our politicians from time to time, but now I'm just so, and look, everyone I've met with in Canberra, and we've been both sides of the house, has been really smart, switched on, even if they didn't agree with me, I could still see they understood what I was trying to ask for.
Yes, quite. Very different political arena, thank goodness.
Absolutely.
Whew. So now ATMS, they've just had the board elections. You can't tell us the results of that. We've all participated.
I'd love to, but I can't. Yes.
Yeah. We've all participated, and that was an entirely external event. You use an external counting system. It's all electronic.
Yep.
Correct. So I voted. Obviously, everything is about the voting in America, but we kept being reminded to vote. So it was very conveniently timed, I have to say, considering all of the promotion everywhere to go and vote. Don't forget to vote. So I'm like, I can vote on ATMS.
I think it's really, because we're such a big organisation, it's really important to have that election run by someone external so that members can be confident that none of the issues that are appearing in the US elections are appearing in our elections.
No, absolutely not. How many members are there approximately?
If you include all across the spectrum of the membership categories we have, probably around 10,000.
Right.
We're just going through the renewal phase at the moment. So, and this year, obviously, there have been a few challenges for members.
Yes.
We were able to pass on, as treasurer, wearing my treasurer's hat, I looked at what we got in terms of government support because of, JobKeeper and other things. And we managed to organise to pass that on to members as a discount this year. So we discounted our membership fee by $50 to $250 for the year, from $250 down to $200.
Yeah.
So it was good that we could pass that on. But when you see my presentation next year at the AGM, please be aware that there is going to be a bit of a loss coming because all the benefit fell in this financial year that's just gone, and all the costs have gone into the next one. So we decided that really the members were the ones who needed it.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very funny situation out there right now for everyone. And we don't mean funny, ha. It's just very different. 2020 has led all of those challenges, and the understanding, of course, that we have to future-proof ourselves and that we have to, we have to be with the association so that they support us with government, because nobody else is going to do it for us. And we'll be sitting on the fringes unless we have our associations to lobby for us. Because some people are politically minded and don't mind going to Canberra, and some of us would rather just stay at home and get on with our job.
The first time I went there, but I've got used to it now, and I'm actually on another board, which is the Small Business Lobbying and Advocacy Board on behalf of ATMS.
Right,
and that's great because I've got mentors there who are really experienced and they're very generous with their information. So that's called the Council COSBOA.
Yep.
Our CEO Peter Strong is always on the news because he bounces around the media section of Parliament House a lot, so they often gets grabbed for interviews.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, one of the things about ATMS being a larger multimodality association is we've got the resources to be able to do these sort of things and not to have to rely on volunteers for everything, which is, often difficult when you're in an industry which is a lot of women who are working part-time and have family and other commitments. They're not always as available to, write a submission or do something that needs doing for the industry.
Yeah, 100%.
The other thing that we've engaged with really well this year is working collaboratively with the other major associations, particularly with getting remedial massage back to work. And there was a bit of a banner for it was, Associations Unite and that was good because we could, each state had, people had stronger relationships in that particular state where they were better represented, and we could use that to work for all the association.
Which is great, because that's what we need. We need to really nut down the associations and just really work towards the betterment of us as a profession, rather than us all being outliers.
We need to we need to work where the common ground is. And not worry about the things we differentiate, we differ on, At the end of the day, the external threats are much greater.
Much greater. Much greater the external threats than the internal ones. And we have to have our differences. It's like our clients, isn't it? Some people will resonate with you and some people won't. So that means some associations will resonate with you and some won't. And that's just the way it is. And it's really great if we can actually get everybody working together that much better. I mean, that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's about collaboration and creation. So now, is there anything else that we need to talk about with ATMS? Is there anything I've missed, do you think?
I suppose the other thing is I'd just like to mention that, we've got a really big campaign we run every year, Natural Medicine Week. It's consumer focused. So it's about getting bums in seats in clinics or on screens, depending on how you're operating. And that is open to all associations. So, and the members of those associations, all we ask is that anyone's running an event be a member of a professional association. Last year we had one, we had to pivot. Sorry, it was this year. I just feel like it was last year, don't I?
We all do.
Yeah, we had to pivot to digital in 4 weeks, and it was a very compressed period of time. But actually, we had more people doing virtual events than we've ever had doing face-to-face because people could have 100 people on a webinar. There was one lady in the Hills District who had 190 on her gut health webinar. So, it's really about educating the general public about the benefits of natural medicine and why they should see a practitioner.
Yeah, 100%. That's what all of my podcasts are about. It's go and see a practitioner, go and see your local practitioner, go and find somebody who's going to be able to help you. So, right. Well, I guess my last question is the trick question that I ask everybody. Yes, she's got the worried face on. She's got the worried face on. Okay, as a homeopath, what is your favorite homeopathic? Dun, dun, dun.
I really don't know that anyone can have a favorite homeopathic.
Right answer.
The favorite homeopathic is the one that works for that case. But I suppose it's interesting. There was one I prescribed yesterday, which is a bit of a fan of mine, which is Carcinosinum.
Can you tell us about that one?
So it's often for people who've taken on responsibility at a very early age, or they've had a lot of control and imposed upon them. It's actually, one of the keynotes is fear of cancer. So if you think about it, that suppression and adaptation and disease is kind of a key theme. But I always say you differentiate it. You say it's basically about people who like things to be ordered, but they like it to look beautiful.
Right.
So they'll put a lot of time and effort into creating a beautiful space. And they like things ordered in their lives, but they can get very anxious. Often a lot of allergies in the picture. But usually I've got to say, it's the remedy I give to the nicest people.
It sounds amazing. It sounds amazing. I mean, everybody studies some homeopathy, or we used to, I don't really do now. We used to study homeopathy, of course, as part of the training, but I just fell in love with herbs and sort of, you end up doing the thing that you align with. And for me, that was herbs. So but the homeopathics.
Mine was the opposite originally, because I literally could not stomach herbs. And I think probably that was, the major problem was compliance. So the homeopathic resonated with me. But I did go and finish the herbs eventually, because so many of the nutritionals I used had herbs in them.
Yes.
And you really need to know what it is that's doing so that you know what else you can use for a homeopathic. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I referred someone yesterday to a homeopath. So because I realized that we needed just that other level happening alongside what we were doing, especially now I'm so online and I'm not doing a number of the things that I would normally do. So it's like, well, I need these other, I need to be able to share my clients and use these other modalities so that they get the best care. So, and by working with other practitioners, just like ATMS works with all of these modalities, by working with these other practitioners, your client gets a really great result. So it's really good.
There's no one treatment that cures everything. It's always about a team approach.
Completely a team approach. I'm totally into a team approach. Everybody there to sort everything out. You might fix one thing and then something else rears its head. And so you need something else for that thing. There's rolling as we get older as well.
Yes. And then there's the regular maintenance.
There's the regular maintenance as well. That's right. We all need a bit of regular maintenance. So is there anything that you think I've missed? Is there anything we need to...
I suppose the only other thing I'd say is that one of the positions that ATMS has often been accused of is that we're anti-registration.
Yes, the registration debate.
Yes, I'm always keen to get into that. But what I would say is that we do have a policy statement on our website if anyone's interested in actually reading it and getting the facts. But basically our position is that, if government is ever serious about it, we will consult actively to protect our members, because the Chinese medicine practitioners are actually trying to fight to get unregistered, some of them, because they've got all the costs of registration and they are not part of the chronic disease management plan or DVA or NDI, or any of the other. Yeah. They've got none of the benefits, but they've got all the costs at the moment. And that's not how we would want anything to work for our members going forward. And the other thing is registration ultimately is about protecting the public where there's a real risk of harm. And personally, I find it really difficult to say that what we do could harm people. And it's not just risk of harm in idiosyncratic reaction. It's what you do in the normal course of events has the capacity to really damage people. And, look, with mainstream drugs and operations, sure, it does. It's just an unfortunate effect and you can't manage that. But I think with well-trained practitioners, I don't want to think that we're going to harm people. I think
I don't want to think we're going to harm people either. I mean, in South Australia, what are the letters? HCCHS, all the letters.
Yeah.
Sorry? The
Healthcare Complaints Commission in New South Wales.
Thank you. In South Australia, we've done okay under that system. It's the guy who is in charge, really logical, sensible. But I know in Victoria, they didn't fare quite so well. What would be nice if there was something across the whole country so that you all got South Australia's experience, which is a much better experience than a lot of other states are getting. I mean, it also means Western Australia, they still haven't got Carver back. I mean, really? The rest of the country, they still can't get Carver.
Just go to Fiji.
No, they have to go to Fiji. It's a bit far, actually, I think, from Perth to go to Fiji.
Well, and possibly, you can't fly there at the moment and the whole COVID thing, but,
there's the sort of the body of Australia in the way as well. So, there's a really long flight. But we use Carver a lot in herbalism, and there's so much research for it, and they still haven't got it. If we had something that actually went across the whole country, so we all got the same sorts of things, that would be nice. But that's not going to happen.
The Healthcare Complaints Commission was originally rolled out in New South Wales, and then it's being rolled out to other states nationally. And it's just how our legislation works is state-based for this sort of thing. But it's sort of an in-between position. You've got the associations there for minor complaints, and then the Healthcare Complaints Commission is there to protect the general public. Yeah. So we've got a bit of a mixed sort of situation of there is some self-regulation, but there is also a blanket layer of government regulation over our sector. I think it provides adequate protection. The problem with APRA, from what I've seen, is that, and this has been the issue for chiropractors in particular and acupuncturists, is people can put in complaints who aren't actually clients. So there has been some abuse of that system. So
definitely.
And that is incredibly distressing to someone to get to be targeted by that approach. So I think the healthcare complaints system works reasonably well and protects the public against more serious breaches.
It looks to be a great system here in South Australia, but I mean, that's not to say that, I know Victoria have got much tougher legislation under the same situation, and that seems really absolutely why.
Well, so different to the rest of the country, Geraldine. That's what we've learned through COVID.
Oh, God, love them. They've done so well. They have done it so well. I can't believe they did that for the rest of us, because they did do that for the rest of us.
True.
And, they've saved us. And they've done that. They've really suffered under the heavy hand.
I'm just really worried about all the small businesses that didn't get to go back to work the same way that a lot of the big businesses did, and just the impact it's going to have in the economy.
I know.
We've really got to think about how to get people back to work, back into successful businesses. Because one of the things we've seen in New South Wales, and I'm sure it's the same where you are, is that regional tourism has done amazingly well.
You can't book in to go anywhere because it's all full.
So we need that for Victoria once they've got their contact tracing sorted.
And they just need to get on the phone to Jacinda. She'll have it sorted in a minute. It's Jacinda. So anyway, it is time for us to go because it is the bite-sized podcast. So we have to bite it down and eat the whole sandwich. So it's been lovely, lovely talking to you, Christine. And I'm sure I'll have you back on again in the new year to talk about something else. Thank you so much.
For Medicine Week next.
Talk about natural. We can talk about natural medicine next week. So when is that?
It's the last week of May.
The last week of May. So maybe we'll be back together.
The 31st of May.
Right. Well, I will make sure that I have a podcast with you coming out for that week. So it's been really great talking to you now. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast for the weekly episodes. If you'd like even more support and learning, then the Academy is for you. Here you'll find part 2 of the herbal discussions, more clinical learning, and case studies to support your clients in practice. Bye for now.